God, author and defender of our liberty, we ask that you would be present at this ceremony where we honor Father, we especially remember today Lieutenant David Lawson, who lost his life in Vietnam. We ask you, Father, that you would also be with us as we remember the victims of the tragedy at Fort Hood. Father, would you help us to remember and pray for those who have been left behind, losing loved ones, and we ask for speedy recovery for those who have been wounded. And Lord, we thank you for this community of Topsfield that has turned out to honor those who serve and protect and have defended liberty. We ask that all of the groups who have contributed to this ceremony would be blessed and honored for their willingness to remember. We ask all of these things in your holy name, which is mighty to save. Amen.
Cover. Would all the color guys come to attention? Boston Fireman Band is going to play the national anthem. Present arms. We'll give a moment of silence to all the ones that down at Fort Hood yesterday, that tragedy. We have a moment of silence for those veterans down there that lost their lives. I'd like to bring up the president of the Topsfield Selectmen, Martha Morrissey.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning, all. I bring the greetings of the Board of Selectmen to these ceremonies, and I thank you all for coming to this beautiful day's activities. This year's observance is special. We are dedicating and rededicating certain memorials as well as the very ground on which they stand. In so doing, we pay tribute to our veterans, past and present, and recognize the abiding significance of their service. Some of the veterans whom we honor today belong to the ages. Others, though, are our friends, our loved ones, and our fellow citizens. All risked their personal safety and interrupted the normal course of their lives to leave us, some for a time, some forever, to do their duty to serve. We stand in awe of their internal strength, their character, and their courage. We express our gratitude to those who have sacrificed and are sacrificing as we speak today so that there might be peace. We should honor them not only today, but every day, not only as an assembled community, but in our quiet times as individuals. Collectively, the memorials here in the heart of Topsfield are perpetual reminders of our veterans' spirit of selflessness, service, and love of community. Here on our common is a place where people can contemplate that spirit while they enjoy the peace that our veterans' sacrifice has bought. May we remember always that we are free to gather as we do today in peaceful downtown Topsfield because of those who have served. And may we always be inspired by the example set by our veterans who value the greater good over their own. Now I would like to call to the podium Park and Cemetery Commissioner Charles Southern.
Thank you. I am humbled and proud to be here representing the Park and Cemetery Commissioners and Superintendent Stephen Shepard. Park and Cemetery Commission has voted unanimously to name this part of the Commons Veterans Memorial Green. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. The spirit of service is alive and well in Topsfield, I'm happy to say. This is the third dedication of a wonderful community project that was spearheaded in great part by private citizens working in conjunction with the town. Today, I'd like to thank the Topsfield Main Street Foundation for leading this project. And now Janet Metz of the Topsfield Main Street Foundation will speak. Janet?
Good afternoon. Welcome everyone. My name is Janet Metz. I'm president of the Topsfield Main Street Foundation. And as Martha just illustrated, this project is an example of Main Street's core mission, and that's to work together with many individuals and organizations to make positive things happen in downtown Topsfield. The Veterans Memorial Green had humble beginnings. In 2007, Steve Shepard, our superintendent of the Parks and Cemetery Department, mentioned to me that he needed a landscape plan because the shrubs around the Civil War monument were overgrown. Could Main Street help with this? We soon discovered that there were separate projects going on at the same time. We had Matt Boyle, who was determined to erect a memorial for First Lieutenant John Jack David Lawson, and he was looking for a place to put it. We had Joan Pinella and Norm Eisler from the Topsfield Historical Society beseeching the Parks and Cemetery Commissioners for a lighting plan for the memorial, the Civil War monument. So we gathered together these groups. We created a small core committee, came up with a beautiful, elaborate plan, and the grand scheme cost way too much. So we scaled back to what you see here because we are a nonprofit organization. We did this all through private funds. No town funds were used for this project. And I would have to give credit where credit is due. It was Martha Morrison in her big picture Eureka way of doing things who said, we must create a Veterans Memorial Common. We brought a monument from in front of Town Hall, this one here, that was covered in shrubs. I don't think 90% of the town residents knew it existed. We created the new monument, found the boulder. We actually went on a boulder hunt, Martha and I, driving around Topsfield and almost grabbed boulders out of people's front yards. It did actually come from the cemetery, which is wonderful. And there are many people to thank and acknowledge for their contribution to creating the space. I learned a new phrase during the course of this project that one can give of his, her time, talent, or treasure. And if you can contribute one of those attributes to an organization or a project, then many positive things can happen in your community. And I'd like to take a moment to thank those individuals on the back of your program who gave of their time, talent, and treasure to make this project a reality. Lighting, Norm Eisler from the Topsfield Historical Society, Joan Pinella, Ted Farnham, Boston Light Source, and John Thompson. The granite benches that were moved and cleaned, the monuments that were erected to Jeff and Greg Moore of Kimball Memorials. The installation and excavation, again by our superintendent Steve Shepard and Paul Fontaine of the Parks and Cemetery Department. The Veterans Day observance ceremony, Dave Camo and the late Matt Boyle. Landscape, Andrew Keys, Hugh Collins, and Ben Nutter. And finally, we would like to, the board of the Topsfield Main Street Foundation would like to thank our sponsor, for which this project would never have happened. He believes in giving back to the town of Topsfield, where he grew up, attended elementary schools in Masconomet. He has plenty of talent, not a lot of time, and instead offered his resources to Main Street for this project to honor our town's veterans and to beautify and enhance a piece of downtown. Please join me in thanking Tim Collins, town resident and president of EBSCO Publishing in Ipswich, for his generous support of the new Veterans Memorial Green. Thank you, and we will now proceed with the dedications.
In a tribute to First Lieutenant John David Larson, following information be over. First Lieutenant Jack Larson was a 1962 graduate from Masconomet and a basketball player, football player. While in Vietnam, as a part of the Marine Fighting Squadron, he came to the aid of a group of U.S. soldiers, peril. He gave his life in award, the Purple Heart, the other amounts of things, the Sugar's Flying Cross with a certificate, Air Medal with a bronze, Mule number 9, Purple Heart with a certificate, Combat Action Ribbon, National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Distinguished Flying Cross with a certification for service in Vietnam on September 1, 1970. Air Medal, First 9 Strike for a Fighting Award, Flight Award, with certification for service in Vietnam from the 22nd October 1969 to 12th August 1970. Purple Heart with certificate for wounds received in action in Vietnam on September 1st, 1970, we resulted in a death. Right now, I'd like to have retired Colonel Yates, retired, place a wreath on Marine Jack Larson's plane. Colonel? And Hut, right there in front there. Also, keep your arms. I'm going to let everybody know. We have the Marine Corps League out of Peabody Post 127. They're going to give a salute to Lieutenant Jack Larson. There will be no taps after this, but they're going to be, Colonel Boston, you play the Marine song? Oh, set the fire? Present arms. You're going to do a selection of songs? Go ahead, all set.
The Colonel says it's come over and do the commands.
Up. Up. I'd like to introduce Harry Lear, who's belonged to the Topsfield American Legion Post, who will introduce our guest speaker. Harry?
Good morning. Our guest speaker today is Sergeant Major Kenneth Oswald. Sergeant Oswald grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, just like Topsfield, a town called Macungie. I hope I pronounced that right, which means bear swamp. He went to boot camp at MCRD Paris Island, South Carolina, served in several different jobs and units: artillery, infantry, administration, recruiting, and aviation. He served in the U.S. Marine Corps for 26 years in several places: Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the birthplace of the U.S. Marine Corps, State College, Pennsylvania, Norfolk, Virginia, Charlestown, West Virginia, Alaska, Hawaii, Okinawa, Japan, New Zealand, Guam, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, Middle East, Kuwait, and several more. He retired from the U.S. Marine Corps in April 1995 and started as a Marine instructor at Lynn English High School in September 1995 until the present. Please, let's give a warm welcome to Sergeant Major Kenneth Oswald.
I am in awe. I am humble. I am standing in front of veterans just like me. I grew up in a small town, just like he said, and he actually got it correct, Macungie, Pennsylvania. Just like Topsfield, Massachusetts. Small, rural American town, full of great, outstanding people, full of great patriots that bleed red, white, and blue, that understand what those colors mean. And I used to grow up watching my dad, who was a Marine in World War II, literally get dressed up on Veterans Day and walk down to the town square and then march into the park, just like this. And every time he came back, I used to say, "Dad, are you still in the Marine Corps?" He goes, "No, I'm a veteran." I'm like, "Dad, why do you do it?" "Because I'm a veteran, son. Because I live in the greatest country in the world. Because every person had a common goal, no matter if they served in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, the Merchant Marines, no matter if it was a man or a woman, they had a common goal. The goal was to keep this the greatest country in the world. We have young men and women in harm's way today who don't get to celebrate Veterans Day with us. But they are literally carrying on the legacy that every single one of you in front of me, man or woman, literally had set forth in the history of this great country. You have stories, so many stories. It doesn't matter if it's Norm from the Marine Corps League in Peabody. It doesn't matter if it's Dave here in Topsfield. But you have so many stories to pass on to your children and your grandchildren about what veterans in this great country have done for. Everybody knows the history of Veterans Day, the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month, Armistice Day, the day to end all wars. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. We live in challenging times. We live in great times. We live in amazing times. And for you standing here in front of me and those behind in this great town of Topsfield, we literally have a responsibility to make sure that it keeps on going and making this the greatest country. In a few minutes, you're going to get to see some of my young men who come from Lynn English High School. I am blessed. 26 years in the Marine Corps, having served with outstanding men and women across the whole United States. And when you were listening to that resume for those who are Marines, there was kind of something missing in there. I never had the pleasure of being stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I never had the pleasure of being stationed at Camp Pendleton, California. I never had the pleasure of being stationed at El Toro. because I was always that guy who was the one who would raise his hand and volunteer to go and keep America the great country. And you're going to see some young, amazing kids here in a few minutes. They're high school students. They're not in the military. They wear that uniform that I wear with pride because they understand what all of you veterans have given to make this country the most great country on the face of the earth. I salute every single one of you here. Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine. I salute every one of your families that have given the ultimate sacrifice to make sure you stood by your veterans. And then we have a tradition in the Marine Corps. I know the Army kind of goes, hoo-ah, I can't do that. But in the Marine Corps, we have a great tradition. When we really are motivated and enthusiastic, and I'm telling you right now, I am probably one of the motivated individuals standing here. I literally want to thank the town of Topsfield for inviting me to be your guest speaker, and this is for you. Hurrah!
Thank you, Sergeant Major. I'm glad I invited you. And Matt Boyle, too. God rest his soul. Sergeant Major also, will you please place the wreath on the memorial and to the right? Yes, sir. Right behind you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Paula Burke from the Topsfield Main Street Foundation to the podium, please.
Isn't it a great day for Topsfield? I want to extend a warm welcome to the Lawson family, and particularly my college classmate Brad, a nephew of Jack Lawson. Were it not for Joan Pinella, the Lawsons might not be here today. Joan is among those residents who give tirelessly to our community to make Topsfield a better place to live. In the past few months, we have said goodbye to several devoted volunteers who also happen to be veterans, although it is probably no coincidence that they chose to serve both town and country along with God. Laura Denault, Joe Iarocci, and Matt Boyle have gone to their final resting place, but are here with us in spirit for this momentous occasion. It was a year and a half ago that Matt Boyle and I and several others stood on this very spot discussing the prospect of creating a new town landmark. Matt had been working for years to see that First Lieutenant John Lawson was given proper recognition for his service and sacrifice. Matt was thrilled that the Topsfield Main Street Foundation was forging ahead with plans to transform this space into what is now known as Veterans Memorial Green. Next Memorial Day, we will pay tribute to Matt Boyle, for he would want today to be about John David Lawson and the dedication of our Veterans Memorial Green. A year and a half, I promised Matt that I would work diligently to encourage participation by Topsfield's younger residents in the Veterans Day events. Thanks to the generous cooperation of the library staff, on Monday, nearly 60 children dropped into the library as part of the after-school program and had the opportunity to meet an author who has written a book about her uncle who gave his life in World War II. Under the direction of Principal Sarah O'Leary, the children of Proctor School will engage in different experiences by grade level to commemorate Veterans Day this year. The Cub Scouts are here to appreciation to veterans both living and deceased. And finally, a Proctor School tradition has been reinstated. The 4th, 5th, and 6th graders of Topsfield were given the opportunity to submit essays for consideration by a committee of veterans who selected their favorites to be read during this ceremony. The topic was explain how you and your family might be able to honor our military families by your deeds. I am proud to introduce our first essayist, 5th grader Andrew Mulholland.
Hello, my name is Andrew Mulholland, and I'm in the 5th grade, and this is my essay. There are many things that we can do to help and honor military families. We can support existing programs started by others in our community, state, and nation. For example, my Cub Scouts troop has packed boxes with food, personal items, and has written letters and drawn pictures to send to soldiers fighting for our country. Some other programs include Camp Purple Ribbon, Fisher House, and New England Shelter for Homeless Veterans. Camp Purple Ribbon is a summer camp specifically for kids whose parents are deployed overseas. Fisher House is a house where families of injured soldiers can stay for free while their loved one is getting better. There's a Fisher House in Boston, but they still need to raise money to complete the house and have supplies for families. My grandmother is in many patriotic organizations, such as the Daughters of the American Revolution and the Colonial Dames. These organizations give money to many of the veterans programs, march in parades, and have programs about our history. Someday I will be in the Sons of the American Revolution. There are some simple things you can do, such as fly the flag, say thank you to a soldier or a veteran, and attend parades on Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Veterans Day. You can also make friends with children who have parents in the military and understand when they are sad. If your family owns a business, they can hire a soldier or a veteran because it is hard for them to find a job when they may have to leave to serve the country. I believe thanking veterans and listening to their stories is the most important thing you can do to show how much you appreciate what they have done for the United States of America. Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome up 4th grader Jenny Conant.
My name is Jenny Conant from Mrs. Grenard's class. On Veterans Day, my family and I go to the Veterans Day parade and pay our respects. When we go, we see our friends that are also paying their respects and watching the parade. Sometimes we visit the graveyard and we see all who have sacrificed their lives for our country. Usually at that time, we also think about many who have died. We think about our family members and the veterans. I am quite grateful to know that people have kind enough hearts to sacrifice and fight for their country, knowing they might get hurt or killed. That would change their lives forever. So on every Veterans Day from here to come, I hope that more people have hearts just like all the veterans we pay our respects to. So forevermore, our country will always be in good hands. I also hope with all my heart we will be able to keep our country strong and always be able to pay our respects to those who have died or are severely injured. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Detail. Out. Dual team. Outside. Hut. Forward. March.
veterans who are here right now to get them recognition? Where they come from, the groups?
I want your troop number and where you're from. Just one. Troop number. What's your troop number?
Pack 81.
Pack 81 from where?
Topsfield.
Very good, thank you.
American Legion Post 255, Topsfield.
Marine Corps Detachment 1302 Middleton.
United States Marine Corps League Detachment 127, Essex County.
Hey, Kid Riders, number report.
Marine Corps League Detachment, Essex County 127.
I never thought to call you.
Peabody American Legion, Post 153.
Yeah, we're doing quite a nice ceremony.
Lynn English High School Marine Corps Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps.
Joseph R. Roulette, MOH, Chapter 37, Korean War Veterans Association, Honolulu.
AMS Post 147, Haverhill, Massachusetts.
Definitely. Oh, Sunday school.
Post 227, Middleton.
9:30.
Post 113, Manchester, Mass.
Legion Post 80, Ipswich, Mass. Polish Legion of American Veterans, Post 92, Ipswich.
VFW Post 2359, Danvers. American Legion Post 180, Danvers. And Operation Troop Support, Danvers.
You got it yet?
American Legion and VFW, James Elmo, Melvin, Boston.
Thank you. Who have one I hit? You got it.
Boston Fireman's Band, Greater Boston, Massachusetts.
This one in the back. That's for the off.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, gentlemen. Who's the spokesman?
American Legion Post 56, York, Maine.
Thank you. Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 240, Department of Massachusetts. Fire and detail. Commander, take command of your detail.
Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire.
Luke, go ahead.
Order.
Before we end this thing, I'd like to introduce the sister of Lieutenant John Larson, Lynn Cunningham. She came up from Peachtree, Georgia. Lynn, we'd like to say a few words, please.
Peachtree City, Georgia. Great place to live. Got a ton of golf carts. But I am just overwhelmed. When I heard about this, and I'm going to get all choked up now, but when I heard about this, I just couldn't believe it, because when my brother died, he really wasn't properly recognized for his service. And to have y'all do this is just overwhelming. And I want to thank everybody that was responsible, and I wish Matt was here so he could be thanked properly, because I know he was a really big part of it. And coming out and doing this today was just wonderful. And I can't say any more.
I'd like to have his brother Luke come up and say a few words too. You're next. Sorry.
Big surprise. Thank you all, especially all the veterans that are here. I spent 2 years in the Army, retired, and back in those days when you were in the service and came back from Vietnam, it was not a pleasant experience. And it is absolutely wonderful that the town has taken the time to recognize my brother for his service. Thank you very much.
Good morning. It's an honor to be with all of you and standing here in the center of Topsfield on another beautiful day as we undertake one of the most important responsibilities we have as Americans, and that is to say thank you to those who have worn the uniform, raised their right hand, and sworn an oath to defend the ideals of the greatest nation that this earth has ever known. But today is a special day. It's a day when we remember not only the annual ceremonies that David and his colleagues so wonderfully put together for all of us, but it's a day that we recognize the fact that this community has carved out a special place for eternity, for us to remember the stories and the acts, the deeds, and the philosophy of the people that have given us that great nation. And so what a wonderful thing it is to hear our essay winners, who did such a wonderful job, to remind us of the fact that new generations have not forgotten, and remind us of the fact that it's important that we have these inspirational monuments that in word and in sculpture and in stone remind us that the benefits of freedom and the benefits of our democracy are everlasting, and it's up to us to guarantee their perpetuity. So once in a while, as we're driving by, maybe we'll take a moment and we'll wander out here and we'll look at these monuments and we'll remember what they represent. And if we've had any doubt in our minds about the greatness of this nation, or the fact that it's attributable to the fact that men and women, every time they have been asked, have given life to the philosophy that makes us the greatest nation on the face of this earth, we'll remember that. And we'll go on in our lives and respect and appreciate the stewardship that demands of us, of the things that have been given. And we will find ways in our own lives to honor the men and women that are honored by these monuments and continue to advance this great nation. It is a special day for Topsfield. It's also a special day for the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts to know that on a bright sunny day, washed with the blessings of liberty and hope for the future, a mark was put in the ground for now and forever that will recognize the glorious past that has been given and earned by sacrifice, and look forward to the tremendous future that can only be hoped for as a result of freedom and liberty. Thank you to all who made this day possible, and thank you to all who continue in this town to recognize our veterans.
I'd like to bring up Representative Tescodiolis.
Thank you, Command. And thank everyone for being here and allowing me to just say a few words. You know, I think the essayists, our young children, said it best, and Mr. Lawson summed it up, I thought, better than anyone else when he said it wasn't easy 40 years ago to come home. And I think those of us in that generation have learned to never make that mistake again. So no matter what we think personally about any conflict, about any war, we respect the soldier today. You know, the Massachusetts House this week, and I'm sure the Senate did the same thing, we have a thing, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we do call it, if it's overstating, we call it a welcome home check. And it's only for $1,000, but the kids today coming home, majority of them being kids, they forget to pick up the $1,000 check. I don't know why. So if you could help us out. No one is picking up the $1,000 check. And then this week, because we have this money and it sits aside, those that come home more than once because they keep coming home twice and 3 times now, there's a $500 check for them. And I hope somebody picks up that check. Now, I'm not being disrespectful. I don't want to be to your, to the memory, but it's really an amazing program. It's been 8 years now since we've been sending soldiers to Iraq and Afghanistan. They keep coming home and they don't pick up this $1,000 check. So I'm asking you, please, if you know anyone, if you want to mention it, it's only a token, but it is very difficult to reassimilate yourself back into a community, to find a job and to care for your family when you've been away for so long. And this is just a token. It's not anything more. So if you happen to know anyone and you happen to have the opportunity to spread the word, please do so. Thank you so much.
And you can help me. I was over to Pershing Gulf in 1991 with my reserve. I never got my money when I was over there. They said they had money for us.
One of the most touching Veterans Day observances I have felt and experienced since I've been here over 20 years ago. May God bless each and every one of us as we depart this place and return now for the collation at St. Rose Parish Hall. Let us ask God now to bless First Lieutenant John David Jack Lawson, United States Marine Corps, who gave his life in Vietnam that others might live. May he now rest in peace. Let's also remember his family, those who have come here a great distance to be with us today, and remember him, that they may now return to their home in safety, and we continue to remember him. May God bless each and every one of us as we depart this scene, return to our homes, to continue our lives, living according to the principles for which this great nation stands. May God bless each and every one of us as we have gathered together. May we continue to remember all of our soldiers and sailors and Marines and Coast Guardsmen and all who serve our great country. And we continue to live according to the principles for which this great nation stands. And in particular, remember all of those serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, those who have died there, those who are still there. They may complete their mission there with safety and return safely home at the end of their mission to be reunited with their families. And let's remember all of those who protect us, come to our aid in the home front, our policemen and our firemen, and all of those who provide us with homeland security. God bless each and every one of us. Amen.
Please, everyone, join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night from the light up above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Thank you, Kendra. Also, a lot of you people know Dick Adams, that's his daughter. Dick and I were buddies a long, long time ago, too, which he participated in this parade with me as a co-chairman, too. We're going to reform up and march back to St. Rosa's Church. For all the participants in this parade and their families, we have a coalition at St. Rosa's Church. Thank you. We'll see you next year.